My videos aim to inspire people and demonstrate that there is life after death. If you like what you see, consider clicking the thumbs up, subscribe, and bell icons. Doing so is free and helps the channel grow. Now relax and enjoy today's narration. Everything happened in June 1990. The day wasn't any different, except that it was hotter than usual. I was cycling to the office like every day when a car swerved into my lane. The bike and I were hit directly. I was thrown 5 meters from where I was hit. The car was going so fast, the impact was devastating for me. I was unconscious. I don't know how much time passed, but when I opened my eyes, I could see myself lying on the road. The scene of the accident was terrible. Unfortunately, I immediately saw that my right leg was severely twisted. Suddenly, a force was dragging me along. I was very scared, so I kept struggling. Just then, a voice appeared. "Relax, don't resist, I'm here to help you." I gave up resisting because I knew it was useless to resist. I was walking through a dark tunnel. There was a tiny white spot at the end of the tunnel. From the tunnel came unsettling noises. It sounded like a cat scratching a couch, and I could faintly hear some painful yelps. Slowly, all these sounds disappeared. I found myself in a mysterious place. The sky was so blue that the thought of it now brings tears to my eyes. The grass was so soft that you could lie down and fall asleep. The water was so pure. What shocked me even more was all the souls I saw. Everyone seemed so happy. I was curious about everything here. At that moment, I thought to myself, is this heaven? To my surprise, the answer to my question was, yes, this is heaven, and I've been waiting for you. There was no one around me, so who was speaking? But the voice was coming from right next to me. The voice was gentle, kind of like when a mother sings a lullaby to her child. What did you mean when you said you were waiting for me? The voice told me that my time on earth is up, and I can stay here, and if you still want to go back to earth, no one will stop you. I asked him why I can't see you. The voice told me the reason I can't see is that my eyes are not open. I closed my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, everything in front of me became clearer and more beautiful. Finally, I saw who was talking to me. It was a young man. He had a beard and his eyes were brown. His skin looked healthy. He was wearing a very clean white robe. He had scars on his hands and feet. A note here, I am not Christian, and there are no Christians in my family, yet now I am with Jesus. Jesus reminded me that it was time to make a decision. Choose to stay in heaven or go back to earth and continue living. I told Jesus I want to think about it. I thought about my mother and my pregnant wife. Again, I wanted to stay here so badly that I left myself very torn. I gave my choice. I had to go back. I can't leave my loved ones, at least not yet. Are you sure? I was very sure. Jesus showed me something that might happen in the future. Jesus grabbed my hand, and many different sights appeared before my eyes. I saw the date of my mother's and father's death. My mother would die in 13 years. 2005 would be a heartbreaking year. My father would die after November 2007. As terrible as that was, the next thing I saw was worse. I saw a scenario of World War III. The population of the Earth at that time was already over 10 billion. At the end of the war, there would be only 1 billion human beings left. Many countries will disappear from the Earth. The cause of the war was the energy crisis. The climate of the Earth at that time became very bad. There will be no more spring, and autumn-winter will be much colder than now. It is no longer possible to move outside normally in the summer. The harsh environment made the food production capacity drop sharply. Many people will live in hunger. Although mankind could already travel in the solar system, the technology at that time could not meet the migration of all mankind. The trigger for war came from a global natural disaster, which made food precious. Allies now no longer existed, and each nation was fighting for its own interests. Jesus asked me again, "Do you still want to return to earth?" I asked Jesus, what would happen if I stayed? He grabbed my hand again, and new images came into my mind. I saw my future son, who was about 20 years old at the time. Instead of choosing to continue his education, he joined the gang. Then he went to jail for fighting, then later he died in a shootout. My wife later found another man. That man was an alcoholic and often abused her. Jesus let go of my hand a second time and asked the question again, "You should have guessed my choice." I believe I made the right choice. I can always be there for my son and watch him continue to grow. My wife and I have spent 34 years together. Many people want to know why I waited 30 years to tell everyone. The simplest answer is that I was scared. I didn't want people to think I was crazy. It's something I didn't even tell my family. My mother died in 2005. My father died in 2007, and I treated it as a pure coincidence. I am not telling you things to scare you. I believe Jesus showed me everything that will happen. I am almost 65 years old. I have nothing to gain and nothing to lose by telling this. I lost my right leg in the accident. The man who hit me had a stroke while he was driving. Unfortunately, he passed away in the accident. The accident opened my eyes to the brevity of life. I became a devout Christian. If World War III does occur, I believe God will not abandon us. God will always be with us. After listening to this story, do you believe that Third World War will really happen? Feel free to tell me in the comments section. The next story concerns a woman who unfortunately had a troubled childhood due to her mother's alcohol addiction. However, an event completely changed her life. When I was 6 years old, my mother was plagued by severe depression and would drink entire bottles of alcohol from morning till night. Often my sister and I had to endure slaps to the face and all kinds of violence because she could no longer control herself. One of those days, however, took an unexpected turn. My sister and I were playing and laughing with our dolls on one side of the house when my mother, still with the glass in hand, gave me a hard slap and started yelling. Then she threw me onto the couch and held the pillow over my face until I stopped struggling. After lifting the pillow, she left the room, and I laughed and told my older sister she could tattle if she wanted to. I knew how to trick our mother, and she would leave before I passed out. Our mother was outside the door and heard me, and she came back very angry, grabbed me, and slammed my head against the wall, stunning me, then threw me back on the couch and put the pillow over my face again. Only this time she knelt on each side of my face, holding it down while she cursed and yelled at me. I remained still and silent, trying to make her believe I had passed out, but she didn't let go, so I started scratching and hitting her legs to persuade her to let me go. Suddenly, I wasn't on the bed choking anymore. Instead, I was on the ceiling, bouncing against the ceiling like a balloon. There was what appeared to be a wide, silvery, luminous thread connecting me from the ceiling to me on the bed. I could see the event unfolding beneath me. I saw my mother kneeling over me with her knees on each side of my face, holding the pillow down. I could hear her cursing and yelling at me. I could see my younger sister sitting curled up in a corner at the foot of the bed, crying and trembling. I could see my older sister trying to drag our mother away from me and hear her pleading with her to stop. As the ceiling above me became increasingly transparent, I could see through it a misty area of white light, and as the mist thinned out, I could see several unknown elderly people standing in the mist, watching and looking very sad. I was just starting to slide through the now very transparent ceiling when my mother stopped choking me, threw the pillow across the room, and stormed out, slamming the door. My sister immediately came to me and started shaking me and calling my name. When I didn't respond, she pulled some flowers out of a nearby vase and poured water on my face. Since I still didn't respond, she pulled me off the bed onto the floor and began pushing on my chest. She had made an attempt to do mouth to mouth when I saw a strange man appear below me. He was stocky, bald with reddish hair, wore a gold necklace, and had a tattoo on his neck. He reached out and touched what I perceived to be my big toe and said, "Now, young lady, it's not yet time for you to go. You have many important things to do." Then he bent down and touched my toe on the body, and I was immediately sucked back by that bright thread into my body. I woke up coughing and began to cry softly. My entire personality changed from then on. I became painfully shy. I couldn't stand being looked at, talked to, or noticed, especially in public. I stopped crying and screaming. I rarely spoke. I began to constantly take myself away in daydreams. I would hide and play alone in the woods. I hadn't had any friends for years. For the next 5 years, I was a ghost. My mother continued to torture us in other ways until my sister and I were able to report her, and social services took her into care. Later, I found a job as a journalist for a newspaper in my city, and there I met what is now my husband, with whom I found joy in living again. A few years ago, my mother passed away. She never fully recovered, not even in the care home, so my sister and I returned to the house where all those bad things happened. It was there that I saw something that shook me to the core. As we were throwing away my mother's old things, I saw a sweater with a funny retouched image depicting Jesus with a large gold necklace and a tattoo on the neck identical to what I had seen in my vision. I don't know how to explain this, but I only know that that man was truly in front of me and helped me return to this life. Thank you for listening to all the testimonies. If you've made it this far, let me know with a comment that says Amen. I will be truly grateful. May God bless you.